All right, and welcome to Friday Night Feels. I'm so excited to be here. Welcome, Lavina. I have a very special guest for everyone tonight from Australia. So welcome, Lavina, to Friday Night Feels.
Thank you for having me.
And for those of you who are maybe joining us for the first time, I am Patrick Monette, licensed mental health counselor and certified life coach. Friday Night Feels is a show that focuses on men's issues, relationships, and wellness. The focus of the show is to create connection and to be able to discuss life issues that affect all of us and how to be the healthiest versions of ourselves that we can be. Each show, I invite a guest to join me to discuss their experiences with relationships, healing, and wellness. And my guest tonight, whoops, my computer just jumped, is Lavina Quilliam from Australia. And her story is so exciting, and it's a perfect time to be here. She is a life coach reconnecting women to their bodies. She is an author of a book entitled When It All Falls Apart: My Personal Experiences and 108 Tools to Uplift You Out of Darkness. So welcome to Friday Night Feels, Lavina. I'm so glad that you're able to connect. We know the schedule, like you're Saturday morning, so this is awesome. We're international.
I love it. It works out perfectly.
And also, I realized when I was getting ready, belated Happy International Women's Day. I thought with your topic and the work that you do, this is a perfect week for you to be here.
Oh, wow. Yes, it is. That's awesome. Yes, and it was my birthday just last Saturday, so it's great.
Happy
too. Yeah, so
birthday.
double run. Thank
Yes,
you.
what a great couple of weeks. So tell me a little bit about your story of how you became a life coach, and I can't wait to talk a little bit more about your book.
How I started it was through my own, as I wrote my book about my personal experiences and, the healing, the pain within my own body and being disconnected from my own body, that I wanted to give back to women to show them the way that you can actually be connected to your body, you can love your body, and you can be one with your body. And I feel that, in school and in life, we get taught to disconnect and, lead lives based on what we should do, what other people expect from us, rather than know, well, what does it mean to connect to our body? Like, how can we actually do it? Like, it sounds good in theory, but it's like, what are the steps on actually how to tangibly, realistically connect to our body?
And when you say connect to your body, how do you define that?
Just being like, living, making decisions confidently from our body and knowing that what is right for us will be felt, and that we have that intuitive knowing to be like, oh, well, this feels good for me. Yes, it may not be logically acceptable or what people expect or want, or like the worldview, but this is right and it feels good and it feels light and exciting within ourselves.
And I feel that I mean, women need that, but I feel like we all kind of need that because we're not taught how to do that. Any of us, are we?
No, never.
I had a conversation recently with men, and we had the discussion of the shame that men grow up related to talking about women's bodies, like in a healthy, loving way. And then when they grow up, they don't know how to talk about it, they don't know how to respect it, they don't know how to have those conversations, and they don't know how to trust their own or be able to support their female partners. Do you ever see that where there's just it's so much interference?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of mixed messages, miscommunication, understanding, awareness, for sure.
So how did your journey begin with being able to discover this for yourself and then become a life coach to focus on it and specialize in it?
So I've always, like, since a little girl, so since I was 4, I didn't realize that life coaching existed at that time, and especially many years ago. I'm 36 now, but I always wanted to do something that would help and be a guide and to help and give back to the community, whichever way that looked. And that was always very important to me, that I was going to make a difference. And there gradually I just, went to different, routes. So I was like, being a teacher, high school teacher, and then I was thinking, how can I give back to adults? Like, where can we start from their parents and that can filter through to the children? So it was just like a natural progression based on, being validated through my life experiences to share what I've gone through to hopefully help that, healing and that transition for others.
And what are some of the issues that you've encountered in your experience that other people could relate to?
lack of confidence, so not having a voice. So I remember, which I read in my book, like when I was 4, I couldn't speak because I'm an empath, so I feel people's emotions and feelings, and I didn't think I had a right to speak, especially as a female. And even at that time, it just felt like a lot of pressure that we're not meant to be visible, that we should just be seen, not heard, and not having that confidence to even speak in school, and not being able to give presentations and do these things. Whereas I couldn't talk, there's not much of a future there. And having that also burnt out, like being completely drained, like overworking for no particular reason, and then not having energy, like completely like chronic fatigue, and Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disease where at a young age I thought I would die with it. And it's just a lot of stress that we take on, not just about ourselves but from the world that we carry.
Right. And then that bleeds into everything of our lives, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Wow. And then to be able to use your gift to be able to connect with other people in such a loving, healing way is really beautiful and powerful.
I love it.
I bet. It sounds amazing. And I can only imagine too, like being a teacher, you must have just seen so many different things of where these issues come in such different stages of development.
And younger too, as well. So the innocence is starting to already dissipate at a very young age than it used to. So it's sad that they're already stressed and physically stressed with their body at a very, very young age. Normally, it takes some time in adulthood, but now it's very young.
It's a lot earlier than even like when we were younger. I've noticed like kids don't seem like kids as much anymore. It's bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit of the journey of you to decide to write the book and what's included in the book.
So it was actually, it just came as a knowing. Well, a lot of people told me to write the book, to be honest. I thought I would have to wait until I was much older to be able to write this book, but I got many people telling me to write the book. So it's just an easy guide for people to read and for everyone to get that help and that starting chapter, that foot in, so to speak, for healing. So I just wrote it, and I knew it would be healing for me as I write the stories, that it closes the chapter of the past as well, and brings it all up and allows that healing just through the words and experiences as well.
Oh wow, that's wild. And what has the experience been like since you wrote it?
It's been great. It's been great because it's a good way to connect to people. People can, I'm an open book. So basically it's easier to read, to know, rather than speak. It's so much you can speak face to face. I feel like when people can read it in their own time, they can grasp more of the understanding of who we are, especially as we evolve, to go back to their chapters. It's not as easy as it is when you're actually living through it.
And what do you think your message is for people? What do you want them to be able to do when they come and work with you?
A simple life. So I feel like it's not really shared very openly. Like a lot of, I see life coaches will think a glamorous lifestyle and having high vibration, all this sort of stuff, which I'm quite opposite. So more of the neutral line and more of a simplistic life. Like everything comes, like, to connect to our body and that inner fulfillment is always going to be the simple things. And we hear it all the time, but we think, but it's not true. Like, it's just how, it's not possible. It's because I'm missing. Like, people feel like they're lacking. And it's like,
yes.
You're whole now. You're lacking of nothing. It's just your awareness that you're lacking, and you're saying you need this and this, but you're actually whole already. And if you really allowed yourself to soak in the flip side of everything and just soak into the magic that is already here, that's enough. And that's really what life is urging everyone to look at, not wanting more, because more is not going to make people happy.
Right.
Every time you go to a restaurant, yeah.
Do you find that people are also trying to go faster when they really need to slow down?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting when you tell someone that it's such a paradigm shift of, you want me to do less, want more, want less, and I'll have more. Like, it blows your mind a little of just, it's such, especially, in the States, we're just like, go, 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 like there's that mentality, that pressure. I don't know if that's how it is in Australia, but there's just that pressure of, if you go faster, then you'll be more successful and you'll have more and you'll be better. But just as you were saying that you've experienced, they don't talk about the burnout. They don't talk about the consequences, and that we're not meant to go like that.
No.
Do you see that in Australia as well, like we do in the States, where there's that pressure to do more?
So I'm in Sydney, so I feel it 100%. Other states like Tasmania and others, there's a difference. So even in Queensland and Brisbane, it's a slowdown, but in Sydney, it's go, go, go. And it's like keep up with the Joneses. You're not doing enough. You know, you have to just rush against time. That time's not on your side. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Were you used to, sorry, did you used to live that way?
Yes, 100%. Yes. So I had to learn from that. I believe that. I was also very materialistic. Was like, you know, the more that you have, the better you'll be. Just keep on working and accumulating all this, and that will be the pivotal time where you can feel that fulfillment and inner happiness. And yeah, I definitely believe that. And so it was a big shock, and that's why I want to give it back, because I'm previously was an accountant too, so quite very logical mindset as well.
Right. And sequential of if you do this, 1 and 2 is 3, and then you'll be happy, right? Nope.
It was opposite.
Now, when you, and this is my word, and you might use it sort of just says like you had like an awakening, and you were able to kind of break out of that. What was the experience like for the people around you when you started going through these transformations?
I think not understanding, like still shocked and cannot comprehend and understand what's going on as well. Like it's just weird, or it's just something that not familiar. So it's sort of like just not understanding.
And did they come around?
In their own way, yes, definitely in their own way. But I always feel like it's everyone's own journey, and I feel like they have to come to that point for themselves to really see that blast off as well.
Right. And so tell me a little bit more about your coaching. How, if someone were to contact you for coaching, what would that process look like?
So we would connect online, and we'll go through our body, feel the discomfort, the pain, speak into it, connect to it, understand what it needs from us, have a plan of action of how we can go and love ourselves more, and really come up with a simplified action plan to simplify our life, to feel that wholeness, and to really bring it back to, if I was whole, like how would I treat myself? How would I feel? What do I need to do? What do I need to shift? How can I simplify my life? And really comes back to, what do I need? Like, what is the simple thing in the body, and that love and nurturance that is completely unique for every single person.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just going to ask, what is simplifying your life look like for something? Like, what would be an example?
Yeah. So I would ask them, okay, so what percentage or hours, if you want to be more accurate, how many hours per day do they just have for themselves? So it's just no obligations, no work, no, looking after whatever, but how many hours per day will they have just their time, where they can, have their creative projects like children, where they can play, paint, read a book, jump, scream, dance, play, garden, whatever they enjoy. How many hours per day do they have? And if they don't have it, like, let's schedule in time for that.
Oh, wow. I love that. And do people struggle with that?
Oh, 100%, because we don't have release time. We always need to fill in time. So if we're not working, we're doing this, we're doing that, we go, oh, we're going to schedule a holiday for that once a year maybe, or every few weeks, or I'll do it on the weekend. You won't. It's like you have to release energy in some way every single day. And it's like whatever makes us feel good to release that energy, it has to be daily.
Right. And do people, I would imagine, like people that I've worked with, they get a little overwhelmed when we talk about, we might say like self-care or something like that, because their mind goes to, this is another obligation that I have, and another thing that I'm probably going to fail at. Do you ever see anything like that?
I first thought, yeah, I do see it, and I actually can relate to it, because that's what I thought. I thought, oh God, this is like going to add more and not take away, and this is going to create more of a burden. So definitely that's a common theme, until we allow them to understand, and it takes time to go, oh, actually it's less, it's not what you think, it's just like actually engaging in the self-care.
And do you work with, as you're saying this, I'm just wondering, do you ever work with parents or with mothers who struggle that? Because any parent that I work with, it's sort of like their identity just gets pushed to the back burner because they're parents.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you feel that obligation, that should, but it's like, to be a better mom, like you need to have these boundaries as well, and have that present time as well. Yeah.
So what else would you like to share that about your journey that maybe we haven't asked or covered so far?
So it was pretty much the main one was the chronic fatigue, and it was quite severe for me because it was like literally no energy. Like it was like even drinking coffee wouldn't make me feel awake. Like I just was literally like a zombie. You would probably, like, people probably wouldn't realize, because I still, did a lot because that's just who I am naturally, innately. But internally, it was like just no lights are on, just tired, just low mood, just going through the days. And this was for like 6 years.
Oh my
And it
God.
wasn't,
That must have
it
been
was relentless.
scary.
It was, yes. Yeah. Mhm.
Did you, and how long, because at least in my experiences with diseases like that, it takes a while to get diagnosed, doesn't it? Correctly.
Yeah, yeah, they don't see that. It's like nothing, it's in your head, whatever. Like it's not black and white. There's not a medicine they can put towards it, so it's not recognized.
Right. So on top of dealing with it, then you deal with the invalidation and
Mm.
how it affects your entire life.
It does, because you don't have quality of life. Like you're just surviving, not even thriving, or you're just existing, and it's a hard place to be in.
And what started to help you or give you hope in those moments where you must have felt really frustrated or lost?
My intuitive knowing. So it's
Okay.
always that knowing as a kid, as 4 years old, and I hold on to it. My faith is very, very strong. I feel time and time again, and that's where my willpower comes from, is that faith. That was the only thing. Like you have to see past, and that's what I teach my people. Like you have to see past the situation. You have to feel that there's always brighter days. This is temporary. We need to feel the feelings, and that's why it's coming to us. It's a purpose, but there's always better out there, and it's coming. But this is a preparation stage to set the scene for us to actually receive and hold on to that too. So it's having, that feeling beyond.
And do you find that people have a hard time accepting that when you first start working with them?
100%, because it's not there. It's, they see
Right.
circumstances, and circumstances have nothing to do with feelings. Like we just label it, we pretend it does, but really it doesn't.
Right. And then also they're being invalidated by other people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're trying to like be their cheerleader and their coach, and they're like, well, maybe Lavina, but we don't know if we fully believe it. Is that, at least I see that in my experiences sometimes.
Oh, of course. Yeah, definitely.
And what are some of your goals, like with your coaching, that of being able to reach people? Do you do different programmings? Is it all individual, or do you do groups or couples or anything like that?
So I do one-on-one, but also my monthly membership, where we get together as a community, and we can share and release together and have that daily communication via WhatsApp as well, and do trainings together live, but also have that daily connections, very important.
So if people wanted to connect with you, how would they do that?
So they can find me on Facebook, Lavina Quilliam. They can reach out there on Instagram or LinkedIn, and they can just, chat on to me and have a conversation there.
Okay. And what are your plans with your book? Do you see more writing in your future?
Yeah, I'm actually writing my second one. You just reminded me of that, because I've sort of let it go. It was funny how this is meant to happen, because I started writing and I was like nearly finished, and now I forgot about it. So thank you for reminding me.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
so the one's coming out.
Now, is it okay if I kind of ask like a random question that I know
Of
that
course.
you say that you work with women and helping them to reconnect with their body. What advice would you give for men to help them support the women in their lives? Because I see a lot of times where men don't know what to do. They want to go and fix it, but that's not what is needed or appropriate. Do you have any advice for men, or anything that, like, for me, like, is there anything that I should know or learn, or that I could do better to
I
support
love
the
that.
women in my life?
That's a beautiful question. I feel like the best thing you can do is listen as well, and ask them, like, how are they feeling, that you're an open space, that they can cry, they can scream, and knowing it's not directly to you, it's just speaking to the situation. There's no one to blame, but to have that safe, strong, grounded pillar where they can just say whatever they need to say honestly and truthfully, and know it's and from the heart. And also asking, what do they need, right? Like that simple question. Like, they might not know, and I feel like a lot of women feel men are mind readers, and it is that capacity where, because women are very empathetic and we can read minds, whereas women have to understand that guys are not mind readers and that you
Right.
actually have to tell them what you need.
Yes.
But I feel it's hard to vocalize it because we're taught not to. So it's like trying to find a way to understand what is it that they need and just give it to them. And if they don't know, just give it to them anyway.
Okay. And also understanding, this is what I find. I work a lot with couples, and it's very similar to what you're saying. There's no mind reading. If you haven't said it, they don't know. And I'm sure you see this too. There's a confusion between knowing your partner and knowing what they're thinking or feeling. So they might say, all right, Chinese food is my favorite food, but that doesn't mean you know what I'm thinking about with the problem. And then if we don't have that communication, if we don't have, like you said, that safe space, if we haven't learned how to do that, being able, I find, and maybe this is your experience too, there's so much shame, especially for men, that we don't even want to say that we don't know how to do it. We just try to fix the problem, or one of the famous phrases that you hear is you're oversensitive or you're too emotional. And as a man, anytime I hear that, it makes me angry for the person who's saying it, because I feel like it's just trying to shut them down.
Oh, absolutely. And it does shut them down. And that's what gives them no voice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially subconsciously. Yeah, it definitely does affect.
You may not have an answer to this, but I love your opinion on this, if that's okay, like talking about this. What advice would you give to men who struggle with women who cry?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. I love it. Advice I would give to them, they need to connect with their emotions.
Yes. Because it makes them uncomfortable, doesn't it?
It does, because it's a part of them that they are numbing and rejecting and not wanting to know, but that part's in them as well, and they need to get to know them a little bit. And it's going to be scary and it's going to be painful, but it's going to be worth it in the long term if they want to have that deep connected relationships, that they deserve as well.
And exactly. And also, I think too, being able to be there for their partners. And that's one phrase, women, and I think in any way, they don't want anything to be fixed. Like, they can do it. Like, right? Like, yes. But what I've been told, is like, we don't want any man to fix it. We don't want, not just men, but we don't need anyone to fix it. We just want someone to hold that space, so we're not alone.
Yeah,
and we can, and when I'm working with men too, sometimes I try to, upgrade a little bit, because sometimes you just see sort of the belief system that's a little out of date, but the heart is good. The heart's in the right place. It's just, we don't have enough of these conversations.
No, we don't ever.
And so that's why I was so glad when we were able to connect and coming on, especially with International Women's Day, and being able to look at. I had a conversation about Women's Day and everything with someone recently about, like how hard it is sometimes for men to know what to ask, to be able to learn about a woman's experience. And thinking that it's about a competition instead of just being able to be present and to hear the beauty and the hardships and the love and the loss, to see them as an individual. I think sometimes for men that's really difficult.
It is, because they have to soften as well, and they're told to be that protector and that force, and so vulnerability is not a thing.
No, and I think sometimes, as you're saying, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, as women are taught how to suppress in a certain way, like you said, like not to have a voice, like in your experiences. And I think sometimes men are taught that in just a different way, like how to suppress another part of them that causes damage. And then all of us, and then all of a sudden we're adults and we're hitting heads with the people that we love, and we don't know why.
Or people are unhappy and they don't even realize they're unhappy in their connections. And they just stay together because of status quo.
Right. And fear.
Fear.
Powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, very, very powerful. And then you can go a whole life, and that's why it scares me. They can go a whole life and not realize.
I was recently talking to a close person to me, and who was kind of at a crossroads about making a decision. And, they were just really struggling with it, right? And there was a lot of fear in the decision. And I could see it because I wasn't in the situation, as an observer. And we just sort of had a really gentle conversation about, it's okay to be afraid. The fear, that's okay. But with everything the whole world has gone through the last few years with COVID and everything turned upside down, learning that it's okay to be afraid, but that's not where we make the decisions from.
That's powerful. Yeah.
And I'm sure you see that in so many different ways with your clients too, of being able to connect to your body and be present is a gift that you're giving them.
Yeah, absolutely. And for them to feel the fear and go, okay, yep, as you said, like, I'm feeling it, but it's not even ours. Like, it's the world's, it's what we've gone through. We don't need to claim it's ours. We can say, we can let it go. It's not ours.
Right.
We don't need to make a story out of it. Yeah. And just feel and still make their decisions and know and protect and nurture.
Right. Well, I definitely hope when you finish the next book, you can come back and tell us about it. How would that sound?
Oh, that would sound amazing. I love it. I can't
Okay.
even remember, because I typed my book. I didn't even remember the topic. What was it about? So I can't wait to go back and see it, because I just channeled it and that's it. Yeah.
That's like magic. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really great. Well, I look forward to, I'm going to have to follow you on social media and I'll look at your book, so we can definitely hope you can come back again to Friday Night Feels.
I would love to. You're an amazing host. I love your energy.
Thanks.
You're very warrior for the males, and they need it, and you're so needed, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I have my little buddy, Bruno. He's like, we don't talk about Bruno. It's like, we got to talk about Bruno. We got to talk about him. He's real. So as we wind down tonight, I just would love to know, what is one piece of advice that you would like people to walk away from tonight with our conversation?
One piece. Oh, there's so many, but it's one piece to get to know their body and to be like, to connect to the feelings and knowing that it's okay, whatever we feel, to express it, to find a way to release it, and then look at, okay, well, what can I do to make my life fun for me? What is the simple pleasures that I don't have to spend a dime on? And really write a list, because I wrote a list for my people, a long list, actually, it turns out. So I urge everyone to write that list, because I feel like we're not aware of all the most enjoyable free things that don't cost anything, because everything, people always come like they don't have money, that's why they're not happy, and that's not true. Right.
There's so many ways through that. And then now we know, is if they're struggling with that, I know who to send them to.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Lavina, for coming, and thank you for everyone who supports Friday Night Feels. Please remember to subscribe and sign up for other episodes on Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel and all of the podcast platforms. I hope that you all have a beautiful weekend, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.